Hi, this is Joe again with another review. For the sake of this video, we'll be discussing a world classic movie, which is 1939's Mr. Smith Goes to Washington, starring Jimmy Stewart, and also had Claude Rains in it, the Invisible Man. Well, this film, of course, came out in the year was generally considered in Hollywood as the greatest movie year ever, because they have 5 so-called real classic movies that were nominated for Best Picture, and Mr. Smith was one of them. Of course, the other one, I always forget the 5th one, but when I leave the top 4 are very memorable. And that was, of course, Gone with the Wind, which of course took home the big prize for Best Picture. And you also had Wizard of Oz, you had Mr. Smith, Goes to Washington, and Stagecoach. And I forgot, keep giving the 5th movie was, but all of them were nominated the same year, because obviously they came out the same year for Best Picture. And of course, and the other 2 films, Gone with the Wind and Wizard of Oz, I previously reviewed. Stagecoach I never saw, so I can't do a review on it if I didn't see it. And of course, Mr. Smith I just saw it the other night. Of course, what's really amazing about Mr. Smith Goes to Washington is the fact that politics was just as corrupt then, in 1939, as it is today. Well, it's even more so today. It's even worse now than it was then. But it was also just as corrupt. Of course, but there are a couple problems that I have with this movie, even though it's a classic film. One of them is that they never mentioned what state Mr. Smith is supposed to represent in this film, and also the ending, which I'm going to eventually get to. Of course, the plot of Mr. Smith Goes to Washington is the fact that Jimmy Stewart plays this guy named Jefferson Smith, who was like a young politician in whatever state the movie's based in. Like I said, they never mentioned what state it is. Who replaced a senator who just passed away. And they had to, or the governor of the state has to pick somebody to replace that senator. Because each state, for those of you who don't live in the United States who happen to be watching this video, the 50 states that represent the United States, or make up the United States of America, each state has 2 senators. And you have to have two senators representing every state, no matter how big the population is. In California, Texas, and New York, which have the biggest populations, you only have 2 senators that go to Washington D.C. So the governor, and there was this big political big shot, like a political advisor or political consultant, who tells the governor, look, you pick this guy. And the governor says, why do I have to pick this guy for? I think I have to make my own choice on who replaces the guy who died. And he said, well, if you do, he's not going to show up and to vote on this damn thing, because he's pushing for this damn thing to go through. And in the local forest, he wants to push this political big shot, like he wanted to put this dam in, and he owns all the property that's near this park, around this park. So if he if this deal with the dam goes through, he'll sell the government his land, and it'll go for a whole much higher price. He'll make a boatload of money on this land if this damn thing goes through. So there's all corrupt shit going on. And so instead of picking the guy that, the governor, instead of picking the guy that this damn political guy consultant wanted the governor to pick, he picks this naive guy, real gung-ho, real patriot, Jefferson Smith, who was played by Jimmy Stewart. So he goes to Washington D.C. and he's in awe of what's in Washington D.C., like the Lincoln Memorial, which actually walks up and you see the Gettysburg Address etched on the wall, the Washington Monument, the Jefferson Memorial. You see all those memorials that they had in D.C. at that time in 1939. So of course there's no Vietnam War, of course, or any of the other memorials that have been built since 1939 on the National Mall, but he's in awe of Washington D.C. So the governor thought, oh, this guy would be perfect for the job as filling in for the Senate. And of course he got in. He represents this little boys' camp thing they wanted to have passed. And so the secretary that's there, who eventually falls in love with him by the end of the movie, is that guy that helps him write up this bill to pass it. Well, one thing is when he passes this bill, the other senator from the state, played by Claude Rains, finds out that this area that Jimmy Stewart wants this camp in. It's the same area where they once built this dam, and the corrupt guys want to have this dam in. And so what they decided to do was trying to get Jimmy Stewart thrown out of the Senate, because he felt that most people will go for the camp instead of this dam. And so this corrupt politician, political consultant, works it out so that instead of him owning the land, or the consultant owning the land, that Jimmy Stewart owned the land, and they make up some fake stuff, fake documents and everything to make it look like, kind of like today with Donald Trump with the Russians, trying to make it look like the Trump was the Russian government colluded with Donald Trump to fix the 2016 election. That's what they did in this movie. And Mr. Smith Goes to Washington. So it's very apropos to watch this movie today, see how corrupt politicians can be, especially if they don't like somebody. And they didn't like Jimmy Smith because they thought it was just a dumbass. He was a naive guy and all that stuff. So naturally, of course, Smith denies this. Look, and he has no proof in denying that he did not own this land. So, long story short, for a while it looks like that Jimmy Stewart wanted to quit, and the secretary says, you don't quit. I have an idea of how you could beat this thing, and possibly even win. I said, why? I said, you want to throw me out? And I walked out of the committee hearing to throw me out, which he did. As soon as they found all the evidence, instead of testifying, Jimmy Stewart just got up and walked out. He says, fuck you. Pretty much, in the movie today, he probably said F you and walking out. So which is what he did. And so he somehow gets back into the Senate chamber and decides to have a filibuster. And of course, there's when one guy decides not to yield the floor to anybody, and it goes on and on and on. And for some reason, he goes on for like 26 hours of talking. And then by the end of the thing, he completely lost his voice. And the senators want to kick his ass out, trying to get him to yield the floor to somebody. And he refused to do it. And trying to fight, and trying to fight all these corrupt guys. And of course, which is kind of like what happens. But unfortunately, what happens is the guy that Mr. Smith, right, Jefferson Smith, he passes out at the end after more than 26 hours of just talking. Reading the Constitution, and reading the Bill of Rights. He goes on and on, all this stuff, and then he goes on to what he really wanted to talk about, and to blast the corrupt guys. That is discussing that we don't run the government, but the stupid political consulting guys do, and it's just not, it shouldn't be this way. But fortunately, maybe they can see it, but unfortunately, it is that way. And of course, with the other senator, the Claude Rains character, finally realized the guilt finally hits this guy. He goes outside the Senate chamber and attempts to kill himself. Unfortunately, in 1939, for 1939 audiences, they wouldn't show a scene like that. You just hear the gunshot. And he said, "I want to die. I want to die. I don't deserve to live. I don't deserve to be in the Senate." What Mr. Smith says is 100% right. He's right. I'm wrong. We're wrong for trying to kick him out, and he's completely right in what he said. Let's vote for his camp thing, and made a motion to vote for his camp thing, and not vote on the dam thing. And not vote for this dam issue, but vote for Jimmy Stewart's boys camp idea, and that's how, pretty much how this movie ended. For the first time, I saw the movie for the first time just the other night, and I felt like, hey, it does prove that the politicians are just as crooked and just as corrupt back in 1939 as it is in 2018, and it's almost like what 80-year-old movie, and it just shows how corrupt everything. All politicians just as corrupt 80 years ago as it is today. So that made me. And I do recommend anybody, especially those who are interested in political movies, check out Mr. Smith. Even though you could argue it's maybe dated a little bit, because it's, like I said, it's a 79-year-old movie, so you can argue that it's dated because it's so old, but no, it's not really dated because of all the corruption that goes on within politics. So that's my review of Mr. Smith Goes to Washington. Please click on the video, please rate it, feel free to comment on it, please subscribe to my channel, please forward this video onto your Facebook pages. You can check out all my videos on my YouTube channel at rallyc.com, it's all with WDY, and then C.com. The homepage is Rally Reviewer, Christine Moore, and please check out all of his videos on this website. Thanks for watching, catch you next time.